Hey, all you Simonites, it's Simon Simaan, owner and broker of the Simon Simaan Group right here in downtown Orlando. We're in the professional studios of Hi Hello Lab, and we're filming our very first podcast series. And we're super excited that you guys are able to watch us talk about what's going on in the market, bringing value to you every single day. And right next to me is the mortgage expert himself, Mr. Shahram Sondi. Shahram, how you doing, man?
Thanks for having me here. I don't know if I'm a expert, but you'll get straightforward answers from me.
It is on your shirt, though, the mortgage expert.
Well, it just sounds good.
It says the Simon Simaan Group right here, so both of them sound good. And we're going to just talk about the three things that are really critical: affordability, interest rates, and why people are still flocking to our beautiful Sunshine State. So without further ado, let's dive into this series and hope this brings value to you guys. But before, hit that subscribe button because we're going to pump out some more great content. Let's go. All right, guys. So volume one, we're going to talk about why people are moving from out west to the East Coast. And coincidentally, the Wall Street Journal just published an article, Prices Fall in the West While the East Booms. It says the United States has two housing markets. Guess what they are, right? California and Florida.
Yep.
San Francisco, on this chart that we just going to pop up, the home prices dropped 10.3%. In San Jose, they dropped 10.5%. But guess what? In Orlando, they increased 9.3%. In Miami, 12%. It says here that certain housing markets in the West have enjoyed a long price run-up since the 1990s. Do you know why? Because all technology, California, like Red Hot Chili Peppers, all that good stuff with Hollywood. But right now, it's on a decline. The 10 markets in the whole entire country that saw an increase between February 2020 and January 2023, out of those 10, guess how many are in Florida?
6?
No, I wish. 4. Can you name 6 Florida cities?
Well, yeah. Miami.
Okay.
Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
Orlando.
Okay.
Tampa. Jacksonville.
Okay.
St. Pete.
Orlando.
And Orlando.
Where we live. So the 4 cities are actually Tampa, Miami, Jacksonville, and Orlando on that list of 10. But no other state in the country has 4. So, way to go, Florida, on that. And then also, as far as the median home price, in San Francisco, it was $1.45 million. And that's down from $2 million. So the price, like I said, it went down 10.5%, which is freaking nuts in my opinion. And that's a huge cut.
And in the Orlando market, the median home price for a 3-bedroom home, I think year to date is almost $412,000.
So we're getting up there.
Yeah.
But why do you think people are leaving the West Coast and coming here?
Affordability. Lower, we don't have a state tax. Home prices, even though it's gone high for us, the people that live and work over here, for people that work remotely or moving out from different states down here, it's so much cheaper. They come down, and I'm sure you deal with it all the time. They look at for $1 million, they can get a 5,000 square foot home versus in New York, they can get an 800 square foot condo for $1 million. So affordability.
But you and I have both been to California. It's a beautiful state. Why do you think people are really leaving? You got the affordability. What else?
I think lower taxes. And, COVID did make a difference in our state. Thanks to DeSantis, get out and work. You can't shut down your life and live in a box for, 12 months.
I was seeing on the news the other day that even Whole Foods in downtown San Francisco, they had to close it because of all the crime going on, and it's kind of sad to see that city go down. Obviously we hope for the best for everything, but I feel people have a better quality of living here. Instead of living in a city and paying high taxes and all the good stuff, the bad stuff, I should say, you have theme parks in your back door, you have the beaches, you have the great weather, international airports, actually the busiest airport in all of Florida. So Orlando took that title with the new Terminal C.
Wow.
So I guess, if I was living in California and I saw all this good stuff, they say the grass isn't greener on the other side. Well, it is. greener on the
Yeah,
other
when you
side.
come to Florida, yeah.
And that green grass is right here in Orlando, in my opinion.
And with the remote working, a lot of companies are allowing remote work, so people can make the same salary that they were used to in California or New York and move to Florida and save money on housing, but then still make the same income.
Well, that's interesting because, like, working remotely and from home, now a lot of big companies like Amazon, Disney, they're calling back all their employees. So what does that do to the market, you think?
We still have a shortage of housing. So when you read one report that says nationwide, we are almost 5 million shortage on housing. Another report says 2 million. Regardless, we have a big shortage in housing. So even if people have to go back to their own state if they want to keep their job, or they can find a different job, we don't have any surplus on housing. So if one leaves the state, 10 other people are coming into the state.
Yeah. I guess, like, in that sense, you have to just execute your plan. If you want to come with your family, just do it, Don't wait that 100%. Somebody told me one time in life that if you have a plan and it's like 75% sure, you do it.
Yeah.
But you execute that plan to 100%, and then you're going to be successful. So I think a lot of people who are leaving California and Washington State, just come over here, I mean, Florida, I think it's a friendly state. People are great here.
A lot of big companies out. Miami is now becoming the financial hub. After New York, a lot of the big investment firms are moving their hubs down there. So we're only growing.
Yeah, and like one thing with like COVID is when they stopped the international travel, what did that do? Like our state, we had a lot of international buyers. I think the number was like, I don't know, 20-30% of deals were foreign nationals. But when international travel stopped, then that had a vacuum. See, then everybody was coming into Florida.
Yeah.
Americans buying properties in Florida, and they gobbled up all the inventory.
Yep. And they drove up the prices. Again, it was, they would look at, this house in Florida, you're getting it, 2,000 square foot Central Florida for, 300,000. And they're like, you know what, I'll pay 400,000 for it because it's just, so much cheaper. So they drove up the prices, and they were selling their homes in their own market at a peak price too. So it's really moving money and upgrading your home for the same price or lower price.
If only I had a DeLorean, I can go back in time, like pre-COVID, and buy up more houses.
Yep. Who knew? Who knew? When COVID hit, I think in the mortgage business especially, we looked at it as, oh, shit, here's 2008 again. This market's going to crash. Sure, this market's not crashing. Just because when 2008 financial crisis, we had a surplus on housing. In this market, the builders just slowed down on building, so there's just not enough inventory. I actually can't believe, even though that some people will blame the home prices went too high because the Feds kept the rates too low, I think that's irrelevant. We still don't have enough inventory to satisfy the demand. So rates up or down, we still have a housing shortage.
I mean, to talk about that, though, is like, two-part, because, I had one client that, like, in the start of the pandemic, literally when everyone thought the world was like going to go like to hell pretty much, he bought a really expensive home. And one thing he told me was, Simon, who do you know that can buy this home cash and not worry about the consequences? He's like, remember, fortune always favors the bold. And he made the right decision, because that house has increased by easily $1 million since he bought it back in 2020. So that kind of resonated with me.
Absolutely. That
you have to take risks in life to get great rewards.
Well, scared money don't make money.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the ones who did that right move, they're reaping in the rewards right now.
I mean, real estate is, again, you can't really time it. Nobody's a fortune teller, but long-term real estate, you can't go wrong. All those people, even the people that had purchased homes in 2006, peak of the market, when the market crashed in 2008, if they had held on to their home, now it's gone up more than what it was even in 2007 at the peak of the market. So real estate is a long-term plan. If I was watching a documentary, if you had $1 million, your last $1 million left in your bank account, what would you do? You would invest it in real estate because it's the safest thing. It can go up or down, but long term, it's always going to go up.
It's funny you said that because
you sent it to me.
Yeah, exactly. And we put in our last video that real estate, I mean, the best investment on earth is
Absolutely.
earth, as I always say. And people have to know where to park their money. And look at the instability of the banks right now. I mean, like, it's kind of scary to think. I hope it doesn't happen, but if your savings get wiped if you're the wrong bank, but real estate is safe.
Yep.
Why trust your money to somebody in Wall Street or having it at the bank sitting and doing nothing when you can invest in real estate and see that wealth grow? Because back in the day, it's when I look at historical values, it's unbelievable how prices have gone up in popular destinations. Florida, we're not like the Midwest, like Oklahoma. People will always come to Florida because there's not any location in America like it for the retirement, for the vacation, for the lifestyle, all that good stuff. But like this prices, like in the 80s, for example, on the Butler chain of lakes, you can get a lot for like $100,000 or cheaper. Now that same lot is $2 million. I mean, in my opinion, invest in real estate. That's a smart game right there.
Long term, you invest in. The one advice I can give anyone in this current housing market: buy long term. If you buy and you're not 100% sure that you're going to keep the house for long term, you could get caught in the up and down swing of the market. Now, is the market going to crash? It's not going to crash, but if you're buying at the peak, you can't turn around in 6 months, flip the house.
Yeah.
So just buy long term.
There'll be a correction. It's not going to crash though, but I think the problem with the inventory was in the last crash in 2008, builders stopped building.
Yep. They're afraid to build.
They were afraid to build. And then it created this huge surplus with foreclosures and other stuff. And people gobbled it up again. Then inventory levels went back down. But if builders continued to build after, we would have enough supply for this demand. And that's where I see the problem, But
the builders, you can't 100% blame them.
No.
Is they're afraid because right now builders have a lot of default ratios.
Favors the bold.
Yeah, but they also have a lot of default ratios, and you would think, like, why would you not buy a new construction when everyone wants to get into the new construction? The problem is, let's say they went into contract on a house when the rates were in the 3s and 4s, and then by the time the house is done, completed, and they got to lock their rate, and the rate is suddenly 6.5-7%. They don't qualify for it. So let's just say you're retired, you're on a fixed income of $3,500 a month, and you budgeted yourself for this house based on a 4% rate, and now the rate is 6.5%. You're gonna walk away from the house. So that's why the builders are kind of afraid: are people gonna be able to close on it? That's the other part on new construction.
But builders can play with the prices. You've seen it that they're advertising low interest rates, because they increase the price of the home. And then they buy it down with the rate.
Yeah, the 2-1 buy down is they're trying to entice people to get into the house where it's more affordable, with the hope that, if the current market rate is 6.5 and the builder does the 2-1 buy down, they can put them on the first year at 4.5%, and then they're hoping by the time this inflation gets under control and the rates come back down, people can refinance and be more affordable. So they're really trying to make it affordable for the average person to be able to still buy.
Like, I know, like in the 80s, and we're going to talk into the next line about the interest rates, but, they were like almost 20% in the 80s. A lot of people, they were doing assumable mortgages. So do you see that a lot now, where somebody will say, hey, is your mortgage assumable? Can I assume your low interest rate?
FHA and VA loans are assumable, the only assumable mortgages that we have, but because the home prices have gone up so much, that person that's assuming has to pay cash for the difference of what that mortgage balance is. So if their mortgage balance is $200,000 at 2.5% rate, and they're wanting to sell the house for $500,000, if you've got a buyer that's going to put $300,000 down, they can assume their FHA or VA mortgage. But then the other problem with assuming a mortgage that the banks don't really talk about is, let's say you have a VA loan and someone assumes your mortgage, and 10 years down the line they default on it. It still goes back against your certificate of eligibility.
Really?
So there's a lot of, we'll get into the next segment when we talk about the truth about mortgage rates and what's different from one bank to the next. We'll kind of dig into mortgages is kind of like insurance. You got to read the fine prints. So
I guess for somebody assumable, if they had an FHA, they did let's say 2 years for like 3.5% interest rate or whatever, then it would be an advantage to sell their house and put assumable mortgage on there for the listing to attract it. But
you got to have that buyer that has that money to pay the difference of the appreciation.
Exactly.
The average home buyer, or the average first of all, the average first-time home buyer barely has 5% to put down. So how are they going to pay the difference of assuming that FHA mortgage? Mm-hmm. So it's more of probably 80% of the market won't be able to assume and pay the difference. Mm-hmm. So that first-time home buyer definitely won't be able to assume that mortgage.
Yeah. Well, we talked a lot of interesting things, and now I smell the pizza, so let's go have lunch and come back, and volume 2 will be ready.
All right.
All right, all you Simonites. So concludes our wonderful series with the mortgage expert and yours truly, Simon Simaan, owner and broker of the Simon Simaan Group. If you guys find value in these videos, let us know. We want to crank out some more. But before we do that, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and do us a huge favor. Hit that notification button and let us know what you think on the comment section below. Until then, mortgage expert, Simon Simaan, we're out. Every home has a story. Let us tell yours. And if you're thinking about doing a podcast, check out Hi Hello Labs in the Crest building in downtown Orlando off Orange Avenue. Until then, let's go.